All right, welcome to, let's see here, the fifth video installment for Do You Have Cell Service? And this picks up right where we left off on slide 45. Now I just want to make sure we fully understand what a receptor protein is, so I'm just going to spend a little time talking about it, and then that'll be the rest of it, right? I'll end it on one slide, this slide only. So, first of all, anything that's outside of the cell potentially could bond to something like this, the cell receptor protein. Now, when the receptor protein forms a chemical bond with a chemical outside, what happens inside can affect it. And I just want to show you a couple of videos here. So we have one right here. This shows, of course, the cell and its cell membrane, and you can see that there's many different types of receptor proteins on the surface of cells, and each receptor is specific to a specific chemical that it might bond with. And you can see now these receptors, if they bond to certain chemicals, potentially send messages to the inside of the cell, or potentially if they connect, they can alter what happens into the cell. This cell has receptors that responded in a negative way. This cell is actually dying. So depending on what reacts on the surface of the cell, depending on what the cell receptor bonds to, again, depending on what kind of chemical bonds to the surface proteins, those receptor proteins, you can get good or bad outcomes. In this example, it's kind of like cancer, where the cells are receiving signals to continue to divide over and over again. Any of you wanting to go into the medical field, one possible area to study cancer would be what chemicals in the body are signaling or reacting with these receptor proteins to cause the internal part of the cell to do something different or unhealthy, like make a bunch of cancerous tumor cells like this. Or it could be something a little more positive. Here we go. We have a wonderful video right here from Learn Genetics. I'm going to do a little narrating. It's really complex, but I'm just going to keep it real simple at the same time. You'll see a lot of things happening, and I'll just explain them in a very general way, okay? So it starts out with the body. Now, this is called flight or fight, and that means this person is going to respond to something they see. Here comes something they see. Now, what they see is supposed to startle them, and when we go into certain parts of their brain is going to release certain chemicals or molecules that respond to different parts. You can see that many cells are reacting, and now certain chemicals have been released in the blood, and brain cells continue to send signals to other parts of the body, so the body responds to whatever it saw. Again, this person is supposed to be excited, so whatever the brain's telling other parts of the body is probably making them feel more alert, more energetic. You can see more chemicals have been released in the blood. And these chemicals are little messengers. Let's see where they go. So they're now bonding to the surface of some cell, and you can see that these are little receptor proteins here responding already. And you can see the receptor proteins right here. As soon as these other chemicals touch the surface or react with these surface proteins, these receptor proteins, they might either release other chemicals that affect other cells in the body, or other chemicals may come back and form bonds with them. Either way, what you end up with is the cell continually responding and changing what it does, releasing new molecules. Let's go ahead and play a little more of this video and see what certain chemicals, if they connect or bond to the receptor proteins of the heart, what happens. So this person was supposed to have seen something exciting. It makes them feel more alert. And let's see how their body responds. So there's chemicals that are floating in the blood, and it reaches the heart. Once those chemicals, these blue chemicals, make bonds to the receptor proteins of the heart begins to beat more and more rapidly as this person gets ready for something energetic and exciting, whether they're going to fight someone or take off running, but their body's getting more and more alert. So there you have it, receptor proteins, just like we've studied, and this is it in a very simple way, and here's some receptor proteins here in a very simple way. But when a certain chemical bonds to them on the surface of a cell, these cells will change the way they act. These cells may respond by sending out more chemicals that affect other cells, or the cells may just start doing jobs that they weren't doing before. This receptor protein plays a huge role in things like drug use and the effect drugs have on people, whether those are pharmaceutical or illegal drugs. Even alcohol, caffeine, all of these chemicals, these small molecules, will bond to receptor proteins in the brain and change how you feel and act, because it's changing the way the cells are acting.